Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily live get-together here on Facebook at 10:30 in the morning. We get together every day of the week, every day of the month, pretty much. We've only failed to get together once, and since we started at the end of March, and we get together to exchange news, stories, and sometimes commentary and opinion about things that are going on in Puerto Vallarta for the English-speaking community. Today, I'm going to do things a little differently. First of all, I'm going to throw a poll at you, and I'm going to tell you why later. I think we have the opportunity to do something really wonderful and helpful by answering this poll. And the second thing that I'd like to do, and again, this is a little different, is I was going to show you a video at the end of today, but I'm going to show it to you at the beginning for a very personal and selfish reason. My coffee is ready and I haven't poured it. So because I really want to have a cup of coffee with you, I'm going to share this video with you. It takes 3 minutes and it's really beautiful and full of love. And I will explain later why we're watching this video together. So take a look. I'm going to go make some coffee and I'll be back in 3 minutes.
Angel's Kitchen, day 50 today.
160 angels served and a team of angels serving.
Es como yoga para nosotros. Seguimos alimentándonos y estamos en solidaridad con ellos. Así es como me siento.
The truth is, this has always been an issue. It's just a bigger issue now because of COVID, right?
Mi nombre tengo 8 años. Yo pongo en los vasos. Cuando mi mamá se va a otro lado, yo a veces doy las naranjas.
Looking for the words to adequately convey what's going on here. It's tough. I don't have the words. But it's pure love. I can say that. It's pure love, giving love and receiving love. It's magic.
Adiós. Si el amor vive contigo, puedes compartir, pero si no vive el amor en ti, no puedes compartir amor.
Estamos aquí diario, ¿sí? Diario a las 8:30. ¿Ok? Ok. Vamos a ver, ¿verdad? Ok. Ok. All right.
Thank you very much for indulging me that. See, now I am ready to go. So hello, welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Thank you so much for letting me go get some coffee. I showed you that video because Sam Kress has been in touch with me. She is running this project called Angel's Kitchen, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on in the program. Again, for those of you that are new, we get together every day. If you are new and you would like us to welcome you properly, please type the word new in your comments. Let us know where you're from. Let us know how you heard about Coffee and Headlines. If you have a question, please feel free to write the letter Q before your question, and we will try our best to get to it while we're live. If we can't, I look at each and every one of your comments after every show and try to address them appropriately. Also, if you want to get links to any of the things that we mention on the show every single day, we produce show notes that are available on Facebook, that are available on the website paco-ojeda.com, so you can find your way around and then go explore some of the topics that we concern ourselves with in more detail. So today, as always, we must begin with the important news, and as always on Mondays, important news have to do with what's going on with our government as it relates to COVID-19 numbers, and particularly this week, how this relates to the possible closing of Puerto Vallarta and the state of Jalisco again for 14 days. So let's take a quick look at that before anything else. So, as I mentioned, of course, like every week, Governor Alfaro has released his numbers. And this time around, he tells us that the numbers look like this. Where is that graph? Here it is. So these are the numbers for this week. We have a 27.4% of hospital occupation, and we have 229.7 percent. No, actually, that's not a percentage. That's the number of active cases of COVID-19 in the state. Now, because I want to make sure that these numbers make sense to us, what I did is I put them together with the numbers that we received from the governor on Wednesday this past week. This past week, our hospital occupation was at 26%, as you can see here. And this week, it's at 27.4%. Excuse me. So there was a slight increase in the number. In terms of the number of active cases, last week on Wednesday, we had 290. And as of last night or today, we have 229.7. So the number of active cases has actually decreased. I think it's important to take a look at these numbers, because, of course, one of the most frequent questions I've seen in the last week between Wednesday and today is, hi, what's going on? If we have vacation like this week or next week, are they going to cancel us? Are we going to get stuck in our hotel? What's going to happen? And those are very valid questions. The fact is, nobody knows when this will happen. I don't know if these numbers change gradually or exponentially or how, because it's the first time that the governor has presented them in this particular context. So it's difficult to tell at this stage of the game. And it's kind of like the weather, you don't know when it's going to be cloudy, you don't know when it's going to be rain. So we don't know if and when the state is going to close again. We're going to have to continue looking at these numbers and just hope that people continue to pay attention to them and to the importance of what's going on here. We have the numbers for the whole country, and we can see that presently there are 15 states in the orange, the rest of the, in the red, 15 states in the red, the rest of the country is in the orange. I will say that this past Friday, Hugo López-Gatell got into hot water because he did not reveal the numbers or the traffic, the colors, rather, the map with the colors, because he claimed that he was not getting consistent information from the states. Needless to say, between Friday and today, there was a lot of criticism of López-Gatell. So he has been defending himself, and I can empathize with the man, saying that, nobody is guilty for the pandemic. And we must remember this. Yes, we put our trust in health experts that are trying to do the best possible job, but this had not happened before. It had not happened in hundreds of years, if ever, in this context. So there will continue to be people that have opinions about whether governments are doing a good job or a bad job. I think governments can always do a better job. They're doing the best job they can possibly do, but there's always room for improvement. We can't really control what's going on in other countries or other states for our city. And we've said this before, and I want to chime into a comment made by a new friend, Larry Champagne, who posted a very insightful series of numbers at the beginning of the show about what's going on elsewhere and how can we possibly open. Well, it's a very legitimate question, but the world has to continue running, and we have to continue learning to live with a certain level of risk. And all we can do is try to navigate through this in the best possible way possible. And of course, in the context of Coffee and Headlines, we concern ourselves about what's going on in Puerto Vallarta and our surrounding communities, because that's what this program is about. Going back to my headlines for the day, it is unfortunate to learn that Mexico is now the fourth country in the world when it comes to COVID-19 related deaths. The other three countries, or the countries around the world that have had more deaths from COVID-19, are the United States, Brazil, and the United Kingdom. We also learn, we've seen a number of posts on social media from our governors and our authorities and from the newspapers about actions that are now being taken quite seriously to try to prevent this possible 14-day closure. In Guadalajara, they are simply shutting down buses where drivers refuse to use face masks. And they are doing this to make sure that the population understand that this means business. Vallarta Opina en Línea reports that the only way you can walk in the Malecón and out, for that matter, is wearing a face mask. Only 50% of people can go to the beach, or, well, how do they measure that? Jesus. Challenging. And that there will be fines for bus drivers that are driving without a face mask. They're also talking, I don't actually know if this is happening now or if it will happen, that if you're walking down the Malecón, because you have to walk down the Malecón, you can only walk one way and it's clearly marked, and then there's another lane for you to walk the other way. I think I think what the government is trying to do is to send a subtle but important message to visitors that may be in town, saying, guys, we welcome the fact that you're here, but we're still in the middle of this, so kindly abide by what's going on. Vallarta Opina also reports a cautionary warning that says, be careful, Vallarta. Baja California has closed their beach again because of tourism saturation and because number of cases. So this has already happened in places like La Paz and Los Cabos. They have closed the beaches again. Let that serve as a warning for all of us that this could actually happen in our city. So it's just food for thought. We also find out that City Hall is continuing to address the needs of the population as best as possible. People that need to apply for a service or paperwork through the city must do it following all the necessary sanitary measures and protocols. And it also states that some offices will only be available by having through administrative guards. In other words, that the personnel working at City Hall is reduced to essential people. So be mindful of this. If you have to engage in any kind of trámite or process with the administration, make sure that you call ahead to ensure that they can offer you the service that you require. Meanwhile, in the municipality of Banderas Bay, let us remember that Puerto Vallarta is in Banderas Bay, geographically speaking, but we are our own municipality. The Banderas Bay municipality is a municipality that is just north of us. It's in Nayarit. It includes Nuevo Vallarta and Bucerías and so forth. And there, Mayor Jaime Cuevas has insisted with business owners that they truly need to get their act together and enforce sanitary measures. Let us be mindful also of the fact that Nayarit, the state directly above us, is in the red. This comes from Vox, and it's just important information to know. We love Vox, as you know, and this is an article from a doctor saying, my patient caught COVID-19 twice, so long to herd immunity hopes. This might be an important read for all of us, but particularly to those people that, for better or worse, are defending the notion of herd immunity, meaning that once you get COVID-19, you're good to go. You can behave however you want because you've had it once and you're free to go. Apparently, this is not the case. So if you've been wondering about herd immunity, the link to this article, along with every other link, will be available on the show notes. Also, no, in case you're wondering, if you're hearing a lot of honking around the Bay on certain days of the week, at certain times of the day, this is a political manifestation made by a party, made against President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, made by a party called Frente Nacional Ciudadano, National Citizens Front. That would be the translation of this political party. They have decided that in Puerto Vallarta and many cities around Mexico, the most smart, the most innovative, the most awesome way to waste gasoline and to create traffic in our cities is to go around the city honking. So if you hear the honking, you're welcome to go, yay. You know, it's the political movement. What can we do? I just thought you might be wondering why this is happening. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Okay, we're getting into the leisurely stuff. So I'm going to stop here for a second and come back to my big self. Where am I? Let me find me. Here I am. Hello. So I want to very quickly take a look at some of your comments and questions in case there's something super relevant to address while we're here. As always, it's so nice to see so many people that join us day after day. I don't know about you guys, but I've grown fond of Dave Van Pelt. I've grown fond of many of you, but Dave Van Pelt, let us remember, he arrived in Puerto Vallarta for the first time yesterday. We gave him all these wonderful recommendations for restaurants. I hope he has time this week to check in with us so that we can find out how things are going for him. I see early reports that you were not getting my picture. That is because it took the internet a little bit long at the beginning of the broadcast to let me pin my comment about coffee and headlines, but I hope we're all here. Oh my goodness, happy birthday, Geoff. Happy birthday. I knew that our birthdays were close to one another's, but happy birthday, dear friend. It's been a pleasure to get to know you through coffee and headlines. And when we were celebrating Virtual Pride, it was a real pleasure to be able to spend some time in person and to empower you to do your own live broadcasts using the same software that I use to produce mine. So happy birthday, my friend. To better times, I'm sure we'll find the opportunity to celebrate. I'm glad that you enjoyed the video about angels. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you for answering in fact, let me talk quickly about the poll and let me bring out the results. I am going to put out the results of the poll right now. And the poll tells us that some of you are very uneasy about going out. Some of us are somewhat uneasy, 54%, and some of us are not very uneasy. Now, I have not put an option for those people that are not afraid at all, because we live in complicated times and I don't want to create an opportunity for anyone to shame anyone. I respect everyone. And my choice for people that are going out without fear, following the guidelines, I say good for you. For the people that are out and about without following the guidelines, I try to just go around you and let you go about your business. But this is concerning to me because this 24% 24% of people that are very uneasy about going out, I am sure they will find the comfort they need to go out at some point on their own. But I'm wondering if we as a community can be of service and inspiration to these people. I don't wonder this randomly. A very nice gentleman that follows our broadcasts every day wrote to me privately and he said, why don't you have one person a week join the program and talk about how they manage their fear? And I thought that could be an interesting way to approach this, but I've come up with this other one, which may be hopefully better. I would like to invite you during the rest of this broadcast, if you have been able to manage your fear, to just write one short statement about how you manage your fear when you go out. If you do that, then your personal tip, oh, look at my collar, it's all unironed. Your personal tip will help the rest of us and will inspire the rest of us. And if we get enough comments from you to this effect, then we can build a great article together as a community and we can publish helpful information that will hopefully inspire others. And that is the reason why I asked to make this survey and I asked you to answer it. So there is your little mini task. If during the rest of the show you are willing and able to write a short comment to that effect, I will very much appreciate it. Oh, lots of comments from you. Thomas Simon, who needs to do my hair because I have so much of it, of course. Went to La Comer yesterday. Taxis had a mask, driver and passenger, and buses. Yes, I have seen an increased awareness of what needs to be done among the population. So I wish to believe that we are moving in the right direction. I think there are all kinds of people out there, and you know, let us just hope that we continue to take care of each other and take care of ourselves. Stacy hopes that Dave Van Pelt can meet us in person and join me as a special guest. You know, that would be so much fun. You know, that would be so much fun. I also want to start throwing hints at Mark Hartman, whom we praised yesterday during Sunday Funday Coffee and Headlines, because he's such a vast amount of knowledge about music. But yes, Dave Van Pelt, once you get back home, if you want to join us as a special guest to tell us how it went, we would love to hear about it, because you are now a part of our community. You've been joining us for some time, and we would love to know how your visit went. Mark Hartman's in the house. Hello, Mark. You heard I threw a hint at you. I think a conversation about movie adaptations of Broadway shows would be fantastic. And if not, if you want to do this on your own, you know, I may be the music appreciation lectures guy, but Mark, if you are thinking of ways to increase your income and you put together a by invitation, by payment only live workshop on or conversation about a comparison between film adaptations and the real deal, I would be happy to pay for it. That is valuable, interesting, nurturing information, and that's just an idea. Of course, if you want to come into Coffee and Headlines and share it with us here, that would be awesome too. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I think you've started to put out some commentary about about how you go about going along. And Mark has said, I'd love that, but we don't know if he would love to come back or if he would like to do this on his own. But let's conversate. Let's converse. Let's have a conversation privately, Mark. I think we can now comfortably move on to our leisurely or less important newsy stuff. Let's go there. And I start, as always, with the weather. It is 83 degrees out now, 28 Celsius. Humidity is at 79%. And according to my trusty little weather forecast here, let me take a quick look. It seems to me that today is going to be humid and partly cloudy through the day. Tomorrow, the same thing, and Wednesday, the same thing as well. So let me get back to my main screen so that I can find out which headline I stopped at, because there were a bunch of them to share with you today. We spoke about Vox, we spoke about this, and we started to get into this crazy windstorm that we had on Sunday. You know, on Saturday night, rather, Sunday early morning. Now we get to see some of the photographs of what happened. There was very little rain, but there were winds of more than 50 kilometers per hour. See, that's how I understand my winds. When Carrot Weather talks to me about winds at the numbers of meters per second, that means very little to me, which is why I didn't mention the winds today. But it was very, very windy. There was some damage around the bay. I know that some people reported damages on their own. I was fortunate enough to not have a lot of damage at home. Although I will say that one of my rubber duckies came off my bathroom window, and Luna woke up thinking, you know, what the fuck is that thing doing here? So I thought I'd take a photograph and share it with you. Please know that the summer dog days, or the dog days of summer, are upon us. Yay! These are the hottest days of the year, and they started this past Sunday, and they will continue until August the 20th. This is that nasty time of year in which it gets hot, 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 and it doesn't rain as much. I want to talk to you a little bit about this. The dog days, or dog days of summer, are called canicula in Spanish, and that's why this article is called Be Careful with the Canicula. Canicula is, dog days, which is what it's called in English, comes from the Latin phrase dies caniculares, or puppy days. And if you've ever wondered why this is, let me show you this illustration from the 9th century as I go along. Historically, Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky, so ancient astronomers took notice of it around the world. So Sirius is known colloquially as a dog star because it reflects its prominence in its own constellation, which is Canis Major, or the greater dog. For example, in Egypt, it became known as a precursor, the appearance of the star became known as a precursor of the unpleasantly hot, that was in Greece. In Egypt, it became as a precursor to the annual flooding of the Nile River. And in Greece, it became known as the precursor of the unpleasantly hot face of the summer. We certainly have that in common with Greece, because it gets unpleasantly hot here in Mexico, and certainly in Puerto Vallarta being a tropical place. So please know that if you hear locals talking about the canicula, it refers to this. Canicula refers to the Latin dies caniculares, which refers to the dog days of summer. Moving right along. Summer rains are bound to bring out crocodiles. We talked about this the other day. 2 crocodiles were captured this week, one in a car agency and another one in a private home. Well, you need to be living close to a big water source or a big body of water for the crocodile to venture into your home. But imagine living in Colonia Loma Bonita in Las Juntas, and you've just come home from doing your groceries, and there is a crocodile in your house. Not something that I want to happen to me. I thought those kinds of things only happen in the state of Florida, but it is happening locally. If you're a theater fan, please know that the situation for theater producers in Mexico is really, really grim. There's a fascinating article in Proceso magazine, which is a very important political publication and news publication in Mexico City. Private theater producers are just not knowing what to do, because if they will become expected or able to open at 25% capacity, that is not nearly going to be something that is going to allow them to break even. The article then goes and talks about some guidelines that have been followed in other countries. It mentions how Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber actually did a performance of one of his plays, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, with technology imported from South Korea. This happened in London. I don't know how effective this was, but the bottom line about and some other places are doing reservations in what they call capsules. If you are going with your family of 5, they will sit you in one part of the theater, and then if you're going with your partner, then they sit you together as a group elsewhere. So the sad thing for live performances is that there really is no safe solution moving forward. And I'm talking about the big theaters. I have no idea what it's going to be like for small venues here in Puerto Vallarta or any other small theaters around the world. But I do feel sorry for the fact that this is happening. I am glancing at the fact that some of you are sharing some of your very heartfelt comments, and I am so very grateful for you. I will be very happy to put them all together in an article and share them as a gift to the larger English-speaking community in Puerto Vallarta, and maybe elsewhere. Maybe we can be of inspiration to other people. Thank you very much. I think, I have a few more things to share. If you are a Star Trek fan like myself, please know that the latest spin-off from the time-honored series is coming up. It's around the corner, and it's animated, and it's called Star Trek Lower Decks, and it has to do with little people like you and I. All the other series that we've seen have to do with what happens on the main deck of the ships and big important fights and wars and whatnot. I have a trailer to share with you in the show notes. I've looked at the trailer, and this looks really funny. Of course, you probably want to be a Star Trek fan for starters, but I'm going to share this with you because I think it's really, really awesome. I want to also... wrong button. My connection was interrupted. How dare you? Of course it was not interrupted. I want to follow up on my visit with beach crossers on when did I do that? I went walking around Marina last week, at the end of last week. And I want to follow up on this because you don't miss a thing, community. You don't miss a thing. And there were a couple of comments that said, hey, are you going to talk about beach crossers or what? You forgot. I'm going to summarize a little bit about what we talked about. As you know, Beach Crossers is run by 2 wonderful ladies, sisters, and they provide equipment so that people that have mobility challenges can enjoy the destination better. And it seems just from looking at their Facebook page, it seems that one of their main, the most popular items are these wheelchairs that have these chunky wheels that can actually go into the ocean. So imagine that you are in a wheelchair and you want to experience the ocean. How fun it is that a company like Beach Crossers is in town and has equipment available for you to rent for short or perhaps long term. I learned from them that they have a considerable amount of Spanish-speaking clientele, and that they're able to deal with that. Their English and Spanish command is good enough to deal with people that only speak Spanish, and that as a local Mexican Spanish-speaking dude, that always makes me feel particularly happy. Now, I asked them specifically, our best intention here is to support you in the best possible way and at the best possible time. Beach Crossers is now going through some renovations of a new space that they're going to make available. So they told me that the best time to reach out to them for an interview or a live is going to be in a couple of months, maybe around September or October. I forget the precise month that they mentioned, but they have an open door. And I told them, you're welcome to knock on my door and let me know what you are up to, because this is such an important pursuit that nobody else has. To the best of my knowledge, nobody else in the Bay is handling this very particular and this very important need in our population. So that is my wrap it up with Beach Crossers. So they will come back when they feel the time is right. They're always here, and they are so welcome to join us, as are any of you that have important information to share with the rest of the community to better or empower the community. You know, this is an open door. Along those lines, I also want to take you give you some knowledge about other things that I'm working on. Tonight, I'm going to get together with my very dear friend Candace Shaw, and I'm going to videotape our get together with her permission, of course, because she's going to talk to us about El Chepe. El Chepe being this amazing train ride that we talked about a few days ago that you wanted to learn more about. So she has done the Chepe as an English-speaking local. If I recall correctly, she went with a friend only, so she didn't take the whole tour. So she's going to give me the blow-by-blow, and I'm going to share that with you sometime in the near future. To that effect, I am also getting together, or I have been conversing with my dear friend Patricia Silver. Patricia Silver is one of the organizers of this wonderful Sing, the Toronto Vocal Arts Festival, which we've mentioned peripherally at least once or twice. And Patricia has a home here in Puerto Vallarta, and she comes here regularly. And she's brought a couple of a cappella groups to perform locally for short runs. She's a good friend, and because she's involved in producing these large, massive music-related events, I thought it would be interesting to get her on the show to tell us what it's like to do that and how things are changing for large venues and large events, and how is this particular music festival coping to be able to move forward through the pandemic. And Candace just breaks in and she says, "Oh, I'd better get dressed up." Well, Candace, you know, we are a friendly, loving bunch, so please don't get all prettied for me. I'm just going to go with my yellow shirt as I am, and I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I know my connection was interrupted. Come back. I'm also in conversations with Astrid Van Dam, which we gave her a huge shout out the other day. Astrid Van Dam, as you know, is the founder of Superior Tours Vallarta. This is an awesome company that provides tour services for people in Puerto Vallarta and other parts of the country. We talked briefly about her very successful 3-day shopping trips to Guadalajara, which I have enjoyed, and you should too. It's a really wonderful and safe way and friendly way to get to know our capital city. Now, I don't know if she's doing her tours right now, but this is part of the reason why I want to get in touch with her. And I definitely want to bring her in live. We've talked about this because I am sure you will have a bunch of questions on this particular topic, or at least you indicated that through your comments when we talked about the possibility of bringing her on board. And the last one I already talked about, which is Sam Kress. Sam Kress reached out to me during the week. She is running this project called Angel's Kitchen, and she was so awesome because, you know, she's like, well, I don't want to be a pest or anything. And I told her, you know, what you're doing is wonderful, and what you're doing benefits our community, so you're never going to be a pest. Quite the contrary. It is a pleasure to promote her or your pursuits if you're watching. It is because your pursuits make our community a better place, nurture our soul. And in fact, it was her that made me think about this notion of how we can help our friends that are feeling uneasy about going out. I know that some of you, by pleasure, by choice, or by need, have to be out on a regular basis. And, you know, people that are distributing food to others have to necessarily be in touch with a lot of strangers, and that by default, I imagine, helps you develop a thick skin when it comes to dealing with the anxiety of being out and about. So I hope that having a conversation with Sam will help us learn from her as it relates to, you know, how do you feel about having to talk to all these people and work with them? I mean, imagine the cashiers at the supermarkets, you know. I mean, I really do feel for them because, you know, these are folks that are helping us enjoy our community, but they are the ones that are out and about every day. And that goes along the lines of what we were talking about a couple of days ago. Please remember to say thank you to the people that you cross paths with, people that provide us service. It is really important. And I'm sure you'll sleep better at night like I sleep better at night. And I think this is pretty much a wrap. We're starting to go longer, and that concerns me because I don't ever want to take so much of your time, but I am always grateful for your company, and I'm always grateful for your insight and your opinions about everything we discuss here. To that effect, you're welcome to share your comments. As always, you're welcome to provide feedback, positive, negative, of any kind. And because I cannot find, oh, there they are. And you're welcome to contribute to this project. If you find information here that is useful, that inspires you, that saves you a few pesos, or that leads to other fun and wonderful experiences, please feel free to consider supporting this project. Coffee and Headlines is a community-based project. We don't have advertisers, because not having advertisers allows us to speak our opinion freely and not subjected to the opinion of paying advertisers. That will always be the model. There may come a time in which we invite people to sponsor specific episodes, but we will never let ourselves be curtailed. Curtailed? Is it curtailed? We will never allow our opinions to be influenced by people that advertise, because we're never going to accept advertisers here. End of discussion. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will take a look at some of your questions. I don't want to keep you further, but I see that there's a lot of comments. Your comments are flying fast and furious, and I so much appreciate them. As always, I will read through each and every one of them, and I will acknowledge them properly. Have a great beginning of the week. Have a great Monday. Stay healthy, stay happy, stay kind, and stay in touch.